Starting in a comfortable child's pose, stretch your arms out long in front of you. Take a nice deep breath in, and then walk your hands over to the right, getting a stretch through the left side of your body. When you feel ready, walk your hands over to the other side, waking up through the right side of your body. And back through center, up onto all fours, and flow through cat-cow a few times, just arching and rounding the spine, starting to bring some space in between your vertebrae. After a couple of rounds of this, you'll come back to a nice neutral spine. And from there, you'll start to move into a threaded needle. Reaching the right arm up to the ceiling and then threading it under right shoulder and cheek down to the mat. Left hand can come across your back for a little bit more. And then reach that right arm back up and set it back on your mat. Left arm reaches up and threads under. Back through center, reach that left arm back up to the ceiling, plant it back on your mat. Curl your toes under and take it to downward facing dog. And then drop your knees so they're just barely hovering off your mat, a little bear pose. You can play here by letting one hand and one leg float and then changing sides just to intensify that little core awakening, and take it back to downward facing dog. A moment, pedal out your feet, shift and move, see what you need to find here in downward facing dog, and then reach the right leg up. Bend your knee, open it up, step it forward, low lunge. Opening up through the front of the hip and then into a half split to start to wake up through the hamstrings. And shifting back forward, a little lizard, letting the right knee drop open. And finally sweep the right leg back up and set it down. Other side, left leg reaches up, bend the knee, open the hip. And step it forward, low lunge. Into a half split to open up through your hamstring. And then shifting forward again, getting a lizard on the left side. Before you take that left leg back up to the ceiling and set it down. Inhale forward to a high plank. Press back to down dog. Coming back to that high plank, lower down to your mat and give yourself a few cobras just to start to wake up through the spine. And back up to high plank, downward facing dog. And tiptoe to the top of your mat. Little half lift to find length, forward fold, stand all the way up mountain. Getting a side stretch to each side. And then a back bend, open up through chest, heart, and throat. Forward fold. Half lift, fold. Coming right back up again, mountain. Get a little bigger in your side bends, maybe grabbing onto the elbow instead of your wrist, just to get a little deeper into the side body. And one more nice big back bend. Then clasp your hands behind your back, lengthen down, bow it forward. Let your hands float off your lower back. Release, half lift. And step it back, chaturanga, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Back up to the top of your mat, a half lift, forward fold, and thunderbolts. Open twist to the right, and an open twist to the left. From there, forward fold, little half lift, forward fold, come right back to thunderbolt, and take some closed twists, one to each side, just finding the rotation through the spine. And once you've taken that twist to both sides, you'll come back through center, forward fold, halfway lift, and flow back to downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, finding a warrior one. And then Skandasana into your left leg. A little chance to move around there, open up through the hip. Shifting back into your right leg, a twisted lunge. And then turn all 10 toes further to the right and reach back towards your back leg. Take it back to down dog and taking it to the other side. Left leg steps forward, warrior one. Skandasana into your right leg. Twisted lunge back at the top of your mat, and then into that lazy lunge, turning all 10 toes further to the left and reaching back. And stepping back, downward facing dog. And to the top of your mat, a little moment in Malasana. You take a few little presses here, pushing each knee open one at a time, just to loosen up through the hips a little bit more, especially important if you're going to be doing some squats, wanting to get your hips nice and warm. so you can get the full range of motion. And then forward fold. At this point, shaking things out, taking any last little things you need. I like to take some quick movements through my arms, little back slaps, and then up and down. Just really loosening everything up through the shoulder joints. Taking a couple of shoulder rolls forward and back. And then finally warming up the wrists, flexing them each direction, just getting a little bit of mobility there. After that, adding a few minutes of a little cardio, some quick runs, high knees, whatever you need to just fire things up.